The morning sky above New York City turned black as shadows fell across the earth. People stopped walking on the streets and looked up. Cars slowed down and drivers stepped out. Everyone stared at the same thing. Massive ships hung in the air like dark clouds. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built. Admiral Zethkar stood on the command deck of his flagship. His green scales gleamed under the ship's lights. His yellow eyes watched the blue planet below. Behind him, 10,000 ships waited for his orders. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a mountain. Pathetic, Zethkar said to his second-in-command. Look at this world. No orbital defenses, no energy shields. These humans are still using chemical rockets. His officer nodded. The planet should surrender within 1 day, Admiral. Maybe less. Zethkar had conquered 47 worlds for the galactic hegemony. This would be his easiest victory yet. Akahi, humans had barely learned to leave their own planet. Their weapons were crude metal projectiles. Their technology was thousands of years behind the rest of the galaxy. On Earth, every television screen showed the same image. The alien ships blocked out the sun in major cities around the world. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing. They all lived under the shadow of the invasion fleet. President Martinez sat in the White House Situation Room. Military leaders filled the table around her. On the big screen, they could see radar images of the high alien ships. There were too many to count. How long do we have? The president asked. General Thompson shook his head. Our fighters can't even reach their altitude? Our missiles bounce off some kind of force field around their ships. So we surrender? Dr. Sarah Chen entered the room. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She worked for something called the Deep Ocean Research Initiative. Most people had never heard of her department. Madam President, Dr. Chen said quietly, may I suggest we wait before making any decisions? The president looked confused. Wait for what? They have 10,000 ships. We have nothing that can touch them. Dr. Chen smiled. It was a strange smile, like she knew a secret. We have more than you think. Across the table, Admiral James Morrison of the Navy watched Dr. Chen carefully. He was a big man with white hair and steel-gray eyes. He had spent 30 years at sea. People said he knew the ocean better than anyone alive. The alien ships began broadcasting on every frequency humans used. The message came in perfect English, Chinese, Spanish, and dozens of other languages. People of Earth, the voice said, you are now under the control of the galactic hegemony. You will surrender all weapons. You will follow our orders. You have 1 hour to respond, or we will begin destroying your cities. Panic spread across the planet. People ran through the streets. Cars crashed as drivers abandoned them. Store windows broke as crowds pushed through. The end of the world had arrived. On a Tuesday morning, in the Situation Room, everyone looked at President Martinez. She was the leader of the most powerful nation on Earth. What she said next would decide the fate of humanity. We need options, she said. General Thompson opened a folder. Operation Last Stand calls for nuclear strikes against the ships, but our missiles probably can't penetrate their shields. We could evacuate major cities, another officer suggested. Move people underground. Dr. Chen cleared her throat. Or we could try the Poseidon Protocol. Everyone turned to look at her. No one knew what the Poseidon Protocol was. It wasn't in any military manual. It wasn't part of any defense plan anyone had heard of. Admiral Morrison leaned forward. Dr. Chen, are you sure that's wise? Admiral, she replied. I think the time for secrets is over. The president looked between them. What are you two talking about? Before anyone could answer, the alien voice spoke again. You have 50 minutes remaining. We are detecting no preparations for surrender. This is unwise. On the screens, they could see the alien ships moving into position above major cities. Weapon ports opened on the bottom of each ship. The energy readings were enormous. Dr. Chen pulled out a small device. It looked like a regular phone, but the screen showed codes and numbers that meant nothing to most people in the room. Admiral Morrison, she said formally, do you concur with protocol activation? Morrison nodded slowly. The safety of Earth is at stake. I concur. Dr. Chen typed a series of numbers into the device. Then she spoke clearly. Poseidon Protocol. Authorized. Repeat. Poseidon Protocol authorized. Nothing seemed to happen. The alien ships still hung in the sky. The panic in the streets continued. The countdown to destruction kept running. But deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, something stirred. In trenches where no human had ever walked, where the pressure would crush, a normal submarine, lights began to glow. Machines that had waited in silence for decades started to wake up. Admiral Zethkar watched his tactical display. Everything looked normal. The human governments were falling apart. Their militaries were helpless. Some cities were already starting to evacuate, which meant they were close to surrender. "Admiral," his communications officer said, "we're getting strange readings from the planet's oceans." "What kind of readings?" "Seismic activity. It started right after the humans sent some kind of coded message. The epicenter seems to be in their deepest ocean trenches." Zethkar's tail twitched with annoyance. "Probably just geological reactions to our ship's gravitational fields. These primitive worlds are unstable. Should we investigate? No. Focus on the surrender deadline. These humans will give up soon enough." He was wrong. In the Mariana Trench, something massive began to move. The ocean floor, which had been still for 1,000 years, cracked open. What rose from the depths was not natural. It was built. It was powerful. And it had been waiting. Dr. Chen watched her device as lights began blinking green. Each light represented something the people in that room could not imagine. Each light meant humanity was not as helpless as the aliens thought. "Dr. Chen," the president said urgently, "what exactly is the Poseidon Protocol?" Dr. Chen looked around the room at faces filled with fear and confusion. Soon those expressions would change to something else entirely. "Madam President," she said, calmly, "you're about to learn that we've been keeping a secret. A very big secret." Above them, the alien fleet waited for humanity's surrender. They had no idea that their invasion was about to become the worst mistake in galactic history. The ocean began to move. The first sign was the whales. All around the world, every whale in every ocean began swimming away from the coasts. They moved fast, like they were running from something. Marine biologists watched in confusion as millions of sea creatures fled to deeper water. Then the ocean floor started shaking. Seismic stations in Japan detected the tremors first. The readings showed massive movement deep under the Pacific Ocean. Scientists stared at their instruments in disbelief. The signatures looked like earthquakes, but they were too organized, too purposeful. Admiral Zethkar studied the reports from his ship's sensors. "How large are these seismic events?" His science officer's voice was uncertain. "Admiral, they're not really earthquakes. The movement patterns are artificial, like something very large is moving down there." "Something large like what?" "I don't know, sir. Our scans can't penetrate that deep. But whatever it is, there are thousands of them." Zethkar's yellow eyes narrowed. In 47 conquests, he had never seen anything like this. Primitive worlds didn't have technology in their oceans. They barely had technology on their land. On Earth, Dr. Chen stood in the Situation Room watching satellite feeds from around the globe. The feeds showed the ocean surface beginning to bubble and churn. Dark shapes moved beneath the water, too large to be sea life. "Dr. Chen," President Martinez said urgently, "what is happening out there?" "Humanity is waking up," she replied simply. The first ship broke the surface near Hawaii. The ocean exploded upward as something massive rose from the depths. Water cascaded off its hull like waterfalls. The ship was enormous, bigger than any aircraft carrier ever built, but it didn't look like any human technology anyone recognized. The hull seemed to be alive. It moved and shifted like breathing. Parts of it were metal, but other parts looked organic, like it had grown instead of being built. Strange lights pulsed along its sides in patterns that almost looked like a heartbeat. Admiral Morrison watched the satellite feed with satisfaction. "The UES Leviathan has surfaced, just like we planned." More ships began rising from oceans around the world. Each one was different, but all of them shared the same impossible design. They moved through water, like dolphins, but they were the size of cities. Their hulls reflected light in ways that hurt to look at directly. The alien fleet's sensors went crazy. Warning alarms filled every ship as their computers tried to count the vessels rising from Earth's oceans. The numbers kept climbing. 1,000 contacts, reported an alien officer. 5,000 contacts. 10,000 contacts. "Sir, the count is still rising. Our computers can't keep track of them all." Admiral Zethkar stared at his tactical display. The blue dots representing human ships were spreading across every ocean on the planet. There were so many dots that they looked like stars in the night sky. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Where did they all come from?" The largest ship rose from the Mariana Trench. It was 10 times bigger than Zethkar's flagship. When it reached the surface, it displaced so much water that tsunami warnings went off across the Pacific. But somehow, no destructive waves formed. The water just moved aside, like the ship was controlling it. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES Leviathan. She was a tall woman with dark skin and eyes like the deep ocean. She had been born in the underwater cities. She had never seen the surface world until today. Around her, the bridge looked more like the inside of a living creature than a machine. Walls pulsed with soft light. Control surfaces grew from the floor like coral. Everything responded to her, thoughts as much as her touch. "Communications," she said calmly. "Open a channel to the alien fleet." "Channel open, Captain." Her voice carried across space to every alien ship. It was calm and confident, like she was discussing the weather. "Galactic Hegemony vessels. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth ship Leviathan. You are now surrounded by the Terran Deep Fleet. We suggest you reconsider your position." Silence filled the alien communications channels. Then Admiral Zethkar's voice crackled with disbelief. "Human ship, you will identify yourself properly. What is your fleet strength? Where did you come from?" Elena smiled. Around her, more ships continued rising from the depths. The count had passed 50,000 and was still climbing. "Admiral," she replied, "our fleet strength is adequate for this situation. As for where we came from, we've been here all along. You just weren't looking in the right place." On the surface, news crews filmed the impossible sight. Ships that defied every law of physics rose from the ocean like surfacing whales. But these whales were made of metal and light and something else that scientists couldn't identify. The ships moved in perfect formation. They spread across the oceans like they were following a plan that had been practiced for years. Some ships were sleek and fast, others were massive and powerful. All of them moved with the same fluid grace. Dr. Chen watched the deployment with pride. She had spent her entire career preparing for this day. The surface world had built their armies and air forces, while her people built something far more impressive. "How many ships are there?" President Martinez asked. "In the first wave? About 200,000, Dr. Chen replied casually. "The full fleet is somewhat larger." General Thompson's mouth fell open. 200,000? How is that possible? We don't have the resources to build that many ships." "General," Dr. Chen said patiently, "the surface world doesn't have those resources. But Earth has more than just a surface. The alien fleet tried to scan the human ships. Their sensors couldn't understand what they were seeing. The readings showed technology that was thousands of years more advanced than anything in their databases. Energy signatures that shouldn't be possible. Hull materials that didn't exist in known science." "Admiral," the alien science officer reported, "these ships don't match any known technology. The energy readings are off our scales. And sir, they're still rising. The count has passed 100,000. Zethkar felt something he had never experienced in 47 conquests. Fear. "How long have they been down there?" he asked. "Unknown, sir. But based on the biosignatures in their hulls, some of these ships are thousands of years old. They've been waiting." The implications hit him like a physical blow. This wasn't a primitive world. This was a trap. Humanity had been hiding their true nature, waiting for someone to make the mistake of attacking them. Captain Vasquez opened communications again. This time, her voice reached every ship in both fleets. "Admiral Zethkar, you have entered our territory with hostile intent. Your ultimatum has been received and rejected. You now have two choices. You can leave our system immediately, or you can face the consequences of your aggression." "What consequences?" Zethkar demanded. "You may have more ships than we expected, but we still have superior technology. Our weapons can destroy planets." Elena's laugh was soft, but somehow terrifying. "Admiral, you're looking at our technology right now, and you still don't understand what you're seeing." Around the alien fleet, more human ships continued to rise. The ocean seemed endless in its ability to produce new vessels. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering that made alien technology look crude by comparison. The count reached 500,000, then 700,000. The numbers became meaningless. There were simply too many ships to count. Admiral Zethkar realized that his invasion fleet was no longer surrounding Earth. Earth was surrounding them. "Impossible," he muttered. "How did we miss this? How did the entire galaxy miss this?" Elena's voice answered him, and somehow she had heard his whispered question. "Admiral, your people look at worlds and see only their surfaces. You never learn to look deeper. We've been waiting in Earth's oceans for 50,000 years, waiting for someone to make the mistake you just made." The awakening was complete. Humanity had revealed itself, and the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency session of the Galactic Council happened faster than any meeting in their history. Representatives from 12 different species gathered in virtual space as news of the Earth situation spread across the galaxy. Fear filled every transmission. Council leader Vorthak, an ancient being with tentacles instead of arms, spoke first. "What intelligence do we have on this human fleet?" "None," admitted Intelligence Director Krell. Our databases show Earth as a primitive world, single-planet civilization, basic nuclear technology, no mention of ocean-based installations or advanced shipbuilding capabilities. How many ships have they deployed? Asked Senator Thix, her insect-like head twitching nervously. Current count is over 800,000 and still rising, Krell reported. Admiral Zethkar's fleet is completely surrounded. He's requesting immediate reinforcements. 800,000? Vorthak's tentacles curled in disbelief. The entire galactic hegemony only has 2 million ships across 50 star systems. How did one primitive world build that many vessels? On Earth, Admiral Zethkar was asking the same question. His communication array crackled as he opened a direct channel to Captain Vasquez. Human Captain, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. I demand an explanation. Where did your fleet come from? Our intelligence shows your species only achieved spaceflight recently. Elena's image appeared on his screen. Behind her, the bridge of the Leviathan pulsed with organic light. Admiral, your intelligence is both right and wrong. Surface humanity did achieve spaceflight recently, but we are not surface humanity. Explain. Dr. Sarah Chen's image joined the transmission from Earth. Admiral Zethkar, you're speaking to representatives of the deep civilization. We've been spacefaring for over 50,000 years. The alien admiral's scales turned pale. 50,000 years? Impossible. Our oldest records go back 30,000 years. We would have encountered you. You did encounter us, Elena said calmly. Many times. We chose not to reveal ourselves. Dr. Chen's orders, the human fleet began a demonstration. Ships across Earth's oceans started changing shape. Hulls flowed like liquid metal. Some vessels split into dozens of smaller craft. Others merged together into massive constructs that dwarfed even the largest alien dreadnoughts. Your scans show biomechanical technology, Dr. Chen explained. Our ships are grown, not built. They're alive, in a sense. They can repair themselves, adapt to new situations, and evolve their capabilities. Admiral Zethkar watched his sensor readings with growing horror. The human ships were showing energy signatures that exceeded anything in galactic technology. Some ships seemed to exist partially outside normal space. Others manipulated gravity fields that should have required planet-sized generators. How is this possible? He whispered. Elena's expression was patient, like a teacher explaining something to a child. Admiral, your people evolved on land. You think in terms of surfaces, of territories to conquer above ground. Humanity evolved differently. The largest human ship, a vessel now the size of a small moon, rose completely from the Pacific Ocean. Water didn't cascade off its hull. Instead, the water seemed to become part of the ship, flowing around it in impossible patterns. We chose the depths when the ice ages came, Dr. Chen continued. While surface humans struggled with fire and stone tools, we built cities in ocean, trenches. We learned to work with pressure, with fluid dynamics, with the living systems of the sea. But why hide? Senator Thix demanded from the Galactic Council chambers. Why not reveal yourselves to the galaxy? Because we were watching, Elena answered. We seeded colonies throughout the galaxy 50,000 years ago. Ocean worlds, ice moons, anywhere water existed in abundance. We've been observing galactic civilization since before most of your species achieved space travel. The implications hit every alien leader at once. If humans had been in the galaxy for 50,000 years, they had watched the rise and fall of empires. They had seen wars, conquests, and the formation of the galactic hegemony itself. Admiral Morrison spoke from the Pentagon Situation Room. We established monitoring stations on over 3,000 worlds, hidden bases in gas giant atmospheres, underwater cities on ocean planets, ice installations on frozen moons. We watched your species develop. We studied your cultures, your technologies, your weaknesses. You've been spying on us for 50,000 years? Vorthak's tentacles writhed in outrage. We've been protecting you, Dr. Chen corrected. Do you think your civilizations developed naturally? Do you think the dangerous species just happened to destroy themselves before they could threaten the galaxy? Silence filled both the alien fleet and the Galactic Council chambers, the destroyer hive that nearly wiped out the Centauri systems. 40,000 years ago, Elena said calmly. They didn't die from a plague. We stopped them. The void hunters that could travel between dimensions 20,000 years ago? We ended their threat. The machine intelligence that started converting entire star systems 15,000 years ago? We dismantled it. Admiral Zethkar's mind reeled. His people's history books mentioned those threats. They were legends, ancient stories of monsters that had mysteriously vanished before they could threaten civilization. You've been the galaxy's secret guardians, he said slowly. More like gardeners, Dr. Chen replied. We planted, we pruned, we protected. We allowed younger species to grow and develop, while we eliminated threats they couldn't handle. The human fleet continued its demonstration. Ships moved through space like they were swimming through water. They folded space around themselves, appearing and disappearing at will. Some vessels seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. But why reveal yourselves now? Council Leader Vorthak asked. Elena's expression hardened. Because you stopped growing. The galactic hegemony has become stagnant. You conquer and destroy instead of exploring and learning. You've become the very threat we've been protecting the galaxy from. Your invasion of Earth was a test, Admiral Morrison added. We needed to know if galactic civilization had become corrupted beyond redemption. Your attack on what you believed was a defenseless world gave us our answer. Admiral Zethkar felt the weight of his mistake crushing down on him. What happens now? Now the galaxy learns the truth, Elena said. That humanity isn't one small blue world. We're everywhere you never thought to look. In the depths of every ocean world, in the ice of every frozen moon, in the gas clouds of every giant planet. Dr. Chen activated another protocol on her device. Across the galaxy, hidden human installations began revealing themselves. On ocean worlds in the Vega system, massive cities rose from abyssal trenches. In the cloud layers of gas giants around Alpha Centauri, atmospheric stations uncloaked themselves. On ice moons orbiting distant stars, whole civilizations emerged from beneath frozen surfaces. The Galactic Council watched their sensors light up with thousands of new contacts. Every system they thought they knew was revealing hidden human populations. The galaxy was not what they had believed. My God, Senator Thix whispered. How many of you are there? Elena smiled, and it was the smile of someone who held cards no one else had even known existed. Enough, she said simply. More than enough. On Earth, the human fleet had finished rising from the oceans. The final count was over 1 million ships. But everyone listening to the transmission understood that this was just the beginning. Humanity had been hiding in plain sight throughout the galaxy for 50,000 years. The age of galactic conquest was over. The age of human guidance was about to begin. Admiral Zethkar looked at his fleet of 10,000 ships, surrounded by over 1 million human vessels, and realized he had just participated in the most important moment in galactic history. Captain Vasquez, he said quietly, what are your terms? The reinforcement fleet emerged from hyperspace with confidence that turned to horror in seconds. 50,000 ships from across the galactic hegemony had come to rescue Admiral Zethkar's forces. They arrived expecting to face a few thousand primitive human vessels. Instead, they found empty space where Earth's oceans should be. Admiral Krex of the hegemony's Third Fleet stared at his displays in disbelief. Where is the water? The entire planet's ocean system is missing. His science officer's voice trembled. Admiral, the water is still there. It's just been moved. Around the combined alien fleet, both Zethkar's original invasion force and the new reinforcements, Earth's missing oceans hung in space like a massive sphere. 60,000 alien ships floated inside a perfect ball of water that stretched from Earth to the moon's orbit. How is this possible? Admiral Krex demanded. You can't just move an ocean into space. Admiral Morrison's voice reached every ship in the alien fleet. Admiral Krex, welcome to Earth. You're experiencing a demonstration of gravitational manipulation technology. Your fleet is now contained within a sphere of water, held in place by controlled gravity fields. The water wasn't just floating randomly. It moved in patterns, currents flowing through space like invisible rivers. Fish swam through the vacuum as if it were still ocean. Whales sang songs that somehow carried through the strange environment. Elena Vasquez opened communications from the Leviathan. Both alien fleets, you wanted to see our full capability. Observe. The water sphere began to change. Currents realigned, themselves forming geometric patterns around the alien ships. What had been random ocean became a lens system of impossible size and precision. Target the star's light, Elena ordered. Earth's sun was positioned perfectly behind the water sphere. As the currents aligned, the ocean became a massive focusing system. Stellar energy concentrated into precise beams that struck alien ships, with mathematical accuracy. The energy didn't destroy the ships. Instead, it passed through their shields like the shields weren't even there and disabled their power systems with surgical precision. One by one, alien vessels went dark as their engines shut down and their weapons powered off. Impossible, Admiral Krex whispered. Our shields should stop any energy attack. Your shields are designed to stop conventional weapons, Elena explained patiently. Focused stellar radiation carried by gravitationally aligned water molecules operates on different physical principles. The human fleet moved through the water sphere like dolphins through their natural habitat. Their ships flowed and twisted, hulls adapting to the liquid environment. Some vessels split apart into thousands of smaller craft that moved like schools of fish. Others merged together into massive constructs that dwarfed even the largest alien, dreadnoughts. Admiral Zethkar watched from his powerless flagship. How are they moving through space water like that? Dr. Chen's voice answered him from Earth. Admiral, our ships were designed in the ocean depths. Space is just another fluid medium to us. We think in 3 dimensions naturally, while your people think in the flat planes of planetary surfaces. One of the human ships approached Krex's disabled flagship. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The hull seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting like living tissue. Parts of it were transparent, showing internal structures that pulsed with bioluminescent light. Captain Torres of the UES Tsunami opened communications. She was young-looking, with the pale skin of someone who had never seen sunlight. Her eyes were adapted for the deep ocean, larger than normal, able to see in complete darkness. Admiral Krex, she said politely, your ship's life support systems are unharmed. Your crew is safe, but your weapons and engines are offline. We can restore power whenever you're ready to discuss peaceful solutions. This is impossible, Krex repeated. No known technology can do what you're doing. No known technology in your databases, Torres corrected. But we've had 50,000 years to develop approaches your science never considered. Around them, more human ships demonstrated abilities that violated every law of physics the aliens understood. Some vessels seemed to exist in multiple places at once. Others disappeared completely, only to reappear somewhere else without traveling, through the space between. Phase shift technology, Elena explained as the aliens watched their sensors go crazy. When you spend millennia studying pressure dynamics in ocean trenches, you learn that matter is more flexible than most species realize. A massive human ship approached the water sphere from the direction of Jupiter. It was different from the others, older, more organic-looking. Parts of it seemed to be alive in ways that made alien sensors scream warnings. The UES Kraken, Admiral Morrison announced. 50,000 years old, built in the deep trenches when your civilizations were still learning to make fire. The ancient ship moved through space like a living creature. Tentacle-like appendages reached out and gently touched disabled alien vessels. Where it touched, the ship's systems came back online, but only partially. Enough for life support and communications, not enough for weapons or escape. You're repairing our ships? Admiral Krex asked in confusion. We're caring for your crews, Elena replied. We're not conquerors, Admiral. We're gardeners. We preserve life whenever possible. The demonstration continued. Human ships created localized black holes that appeared and disappeared without harming anything nearby. They manipulated time fields that made seconds stretch into minutes. They opened rifts in space that connected distant parts of the galaxy. This technology, Senator Thix's voice came from the Galactic Council chambers, it's beyond anything we imagined possible. It's beyond anything you needed, Dr. Chen corrected. Your species developed technology for conquest and war. We developed it for exploration and survival in the most extreme environments in the universe. Admiral Zethkar finally found his voice. How long have you been capable of this level of technology? Since before your species achieved spaceflight, Elena answered. But we chose not to use it. We hoped younger civilizations would find their own paths to wisdom. And when they didn't? Krex asked quietly. We intervened quietly. A plague here, a natural disaster there, a mysterious equipment failure at just the right moment. We prevented galactic wars your historians never knew were about to start. The water sphere began to rotate, creating artificial gravity that allowed the alien crews to move normally inside their ships. The human fleet moved in perfect formation around them, demonstrating coordination that spoke of millennia of practice. But now you're showing yourselves, Zethkar observed. Because hiding isn't working anymore, Admiral Morrison replied. The galactic hegemony has become too aggressive, too destructive. You attack worlds you think are defenseless. You strip resources without consideration for local ecosystems. You've stopped growing and started just consuming. Elena's voice carried a note of sadness. We had hoped your civilizations would mature on their own. Instead, you've become the very threats we've been protecting the galaxy from. Around the galaxy, long-range sensors were detecting massive energy signatures from systems that had been thought empty or primitive. Ancient human settlements were revealing themselves on dozens of worlds. Space stations emerged from gas giant atmospheres. Underwater cities on ocean worlds began broadcasting their existence. How many systems do you control? Council leader Vorthak asked, his tentacles writhing with anxiety. We don't control systems, Dr. Chen replied. We inhabit them. There's a difference. We live in the spaces between your civilizations, in the environments you can't or won't occupy. The demonstration reached its climax as the human fleet created a perfect holographic display in the water sphere. It showed the galaxy as the aliens had never seen it, with human settlements marked in blue light. The display revealed the truth that would reshape galactic civilization. Humanity wasn't confined to one small blue world. They were everywhere, in ocean depths, ice caves, gas clouds, asteroid belts, and the empty spaces between stars. They had built a civilization that spanned the galaxy without anyone noticing. The age of conquest is over, Elena announced to both fleets and the Galactic Council. The age of cooperation begins now. Admiral Krex looked around at his disabled fleet, surrounded by technology that made his most advanced ships look like toys. What happens to the hegemony? Elena's smile was gentle but firm. The hegemony changes, or the hegemony ends. That choice is yours to make. The water sphere began to slowly move back toward Earth, carrying the alien fleets with it. The demonstration was over. The galaxy would never be the same. 6 months later, the galaxy looked completely different. The galactic hegemony had dissolved peacefully, its member worlds choosing to join something new called the Terran Cooperative. Instead of conquest and tribute, the new organization focused on exploration, trade, and protecting younger civilizations. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the reformed Galactic Council on a space station that hadn't existed a year ago. The station floated in the space between star systems, built from materials that seemed to grow rather than being assembled. Water flowed through transparent tubes along the walls, carrying fish and plants from Earth's oceans. The architecture felt alive. The transition has been smoother than we expected, she reported to the assembled representatives. 73 worlds have requested membership in the cooperative. 41 have asked for human technological assistance. Only 12 systems have chosen to remain independent. Council leader Vorthak, who had kept his position in the new government, still seemed nervous around humans. And those independent systems are free to remain so, Dr. Chen replied simply. We're not conquerors. Never have been. If they want to govern themselves without our involvement, that's their choice. The council chamber itself was a marvel that demonstrated humanity's true capabilities. It existed in folded space, appearing small from the outside but containing room for thousands of representatives. The walls showed real-time images of worlds throughout the galaxy, not surveillance, but celebration. Each screen displayed the unique beauty of different civilizations. Former Admiral Zethkar, now serving as a liaison between his species and humanity, raised a question that many aliens still found disturbing. Dr. Chen, our historical records are being rewritten as we discover evidence of human intervention throughout our past. How many of our achievements were actually ours? Dr. Chen smiled gently. All of them, Admiral. We didn't create your civilizations. We simply removed obstacles that would have destroyed you before you could reach your potential. Every discovery, every advancement, every work of art, those came from your people's own minds and hearts. Senator Thix, whose insect-like features had become more relaxed over the months, spoke next. But you guided our development. We prevented extinction events, Elena Vasquez corrected. She had been promoted to Admiral of the Cooperative Fleet, a force that now included volunteers from dozens of species. We stopped wars that would have eliminated entire civilizations. We redirected asteroids that would have caused mass extinctions. We prevented plagues that would have wiped out promising species. Like gardeners removing weeds so flowers can grow, added Captain Torres, who now commanded a mixed-species crew exploring the galaxy's outer rim. The Council reviewed reports from across the galaxy. Trade routes that had been dangerous for millennia were now safe, patrolled by joint human-alien fleets. Pirates and raiders found themselves facing ships that could appear from nowhere and disable their vessels without firing a shot. Former Admiral Krex, now a governor in the cooperative, presented his sector's report. Crime rates have dropped by 90% in our systems. The human deep patrol ships seem to know about problems before we do. We've had 50,000 years to perfect early warning systems, Admiral Morrison explained. He attended the meeting via hologram from Earth, where he was overseeing the integration of surface and deep-sea human populations. When you have settlements throughout the galaxy, you hear about trouble before it spreads. But the biggest changes were happening in the areas of science and exploration. Human technology, shared freely with cooperative species, was revolutionizing galactic civilization. Planets that had been thought uninhabitable were being colonized using underwater city techniques. Gas giants were being mined with atmospheric harvesting methods perfected in Jupiter's clouds. The Vegan system has established their first underwater colony, reported Dr. Martinez, a surface human who had become the cooperative's chief science officer. They're using modified human bioships that can survive in their high-pressure oceans. The Centauri Republic has begun construction of their first phase-shift-capable vessels, added Chief Engineer Kim, a deep-sea human whose knowledge of pressure dynamics had proven invaluable in designing new kinds of spacecraft. Council Leader Vorthak's tentacles swayed thoughtfully. This level of technological sharing, in the old hegemony, we kept our advances secret from each other. Secrets create fear, Elena observed. We kept secrets for 50,000 years, and it nearly led to galactic war when we finally revealed ourselves. Better to share knowledge and grow together. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent communication from the galaxy's edge. Captain Singh of the exploration vessel UES Endeavour appeared on the main screen, his expression serious but excited. Council, we've discovered something significant in the Magellanic Cloud region. There are signs of another ancient civilization, technology signatures that don't match any known species. The council chamber fell silent. After months of revelation about humanity's hidden presence, the idea of another unknown civilization was both thrilling and terrifying. Dr. Chen leaned forward. Captain, are you certain these signatures aren't from unreported human settlements? Negative, Dr. Chen. The technology is completely different, crystalline-based rather than biomechanical, and the energy signatures suggest they've been dormant for even longer than humanity has been spacefaring. Elena and Dr. Chen exchanged glances. Even with humanity's 50,000-year presence in the galaxy, there were still mysteries to uncover. Captain Singh, maintain your position and continue observations, Elena ordered. Do not attempt contact until we can send additional support. As the council session continued, reports came in from around the galaxy. The Andromedans had made first contact with a machine intelligence that turned out to be friendly. The Rigel system had discovered ruins on their outer planets that suggested yet another ancient civilization. The galaxy was revealing secrets that even humanity hadn't known existed. Former Admiral Zethkar asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Dr. Chen, in all your thousands of years of observation, did you know about these other civilizations? We suspected, she admitted. There were always energy signatures we couldn't explain, archaeological finds that didn't match any known species. We thought we were the galaxy's only ancient civilization. Apparently, we were wrong. The revelation that humanity, despite their advanced age and vast knowledge, were still discovering new things about the galaxy, brought a sense of wonder to the council. The universe was larger and stranger than anyone had imagined. Senator Thix spoke for many when she said, "So we're all explorers together now. Even humanity is still learning." Especially humanity, Elena replied with a smile. We've spent 50,000 years thinking we knew everything about the galaxy. Turns out we were just getting started. As the council session ended, representatives began planning joint exploration missions to investigate the new discoveries. Human ships would provide protection and advanced sensors, while alien crews would bring fresh perspectives and different types of expertise. Dr. Chen stood at the observation deck after the meeting, looking out at the stars. Admiral Morrison's hologram appeared beside her. Any regrets about revealing ourselves? He asked. She watched as a mixed fleet of human and alien ships departed for the galaxy's edge, crews working together in ways that would have been impossible under the old hegemony. None, she said quietly. It was time. The galaxy is ready to grow up. And apparently, so are we. Across the galaxy, humanity's deep cities were opening their doors to alien visitors for the first time. Surface humans were learning about the ocean civilizations that had protected them for millennia. Alien species were sharing their own secrets and discoveries. The age of hidden watchers was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun, and somewhere in the vast darkness between galaxies, ancient civilizations were stirring, perhaps drawn by the energy signatures of a universe finally ready to meet its neighbors. The hidden million ship fleet had done more than protect Earth. It had protected the galaxy's potential to become something greater than anyone had dreamed possible.